Yeah, we're gonna take our time on trying to get everything together right so we can go ahead and broadcast. Okay. So today's picture is identified as right. Maybe I don't know about this, but I do. But we're gonna start off here. And we're gonna go to tablet 11, the filament. And now let's select the 24 Anunnaki. Early of the 12 were agreeable and 12 disagreeable, commanded the firmament, which is the asteroid belt, to be the middle of this solar system, between Mamu, which is Mercury, Lahamu, which is Venus, Tamat, which is Earth, and Namu, which is Mars, and Kazar, which is Jupiter, Ansha, which is Saturn, Anu, which is Uranus, and E, which is Neptune. The two sets of planets with water in the heavens above and the heavens below. So this was separate the water on the planet, which is below, from the water on other planets above and the clouds. And the Anunnaki made an arch, firmament, an asteroid belt in the sky as a necklace to be donned, visible, which is above in the planet's atmosphere, and separated the two waters. One was beneath the beaten out firmament, Mumu, Mercury, Lahamu, Venus, Tamat, Earth, and Lamu, Mars. From the others, which was above, Keshar, Jupiter, Ansha, Saturn, Anu, Uranus, and E, Neptune. And this happened. And the Anarchy named the filament the skies. And the dust period and the new second day of the 7,000 years was over, and 24 selected elders, one from each hour of each day. The Anunnaki set a circle and said amongst the waters beneath the skies are to be brought together as one mass, as oceans, rivers, streams, and lakes. And let the dry land be seen. And this happened. And the Anunnaki called out the key, the planet Earth, will be called Adama, dry, brown, the land mass called Ki, and the Mayim, which is called waters, that were gathered together, they call the Yam or Yam, which was the brother of Bab, and he ruled the seas of Tamet. And the Anunnaki saw that these things were agreeable, and Anunnaki says, in the name of El Elo, the appointed, who is due all gratitude, the only true sustainer of sustainers of all the balanced universes, the caring, the loving. When all things ended, it is up to Anu, who is Alun, Alun El, Alun El. Alone is to be worshipped, and we ask Alun El for help alone. Alun El guides us to the right way, the way of those 24 agreeable Anunnaki, not the way of the 12 disagreeable Anunnaki, nor the way of those who were 200 agreeable and went astray. And the Anunnaki said amongst each other, the planet Earth should now spread bulbs, growing herbs with seeds in them in order to yield new seeds. And a fruit tree shall grow with seeds in them from the land mass, and this happened. So the planet Earth did bring forth grass and herbs with seeds in themselves, and great trees within itself, and the Anunnaki saw these things this way was agreeable. The dust period and the new third day of the 7,000 years was over. The 24 selective counselors of the original Aliyum, who are called Anunnaki, said amongst each other, let the light exist in the skies in order to separate the daylight hours from the shadow hours. Daylight was called agreeable. 12 were Sarufat, and the shadow hours was called disagreeable. And 12 was Gurbat. You have your 24, 12 disagreeable, and 12 agreeable. Let them be a signal of the seasons, of the days, of the years as time for this planet. 24 hours in a day, 24,000 years in an equinox, as illuminating lights in the skies to shine light upon the planet Earth, and this happened. And the Anunnaki caused the older and the brighter light to be seen in the sky in order to overpower the daytime. The symbol of the agreeable was a star as a great surface of life, the sun, shine ever so brightly from the pure darkness. The first state before light made things seen. The younger light of lesser brightness has to be seen throughout the shadow hours. The symbol of the disagreeable was the crescent moon, which is ruled by the sun. This also made many outer suns as stars visible, and Anunnaki made them appear in the skies in order to shed light on the planet Earth. This was to overpower the day and the shadow hours called night, and to separate the daylight from the shadow hours. The Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable, and the dust period and the new fourth day of the 7,000 years was over. And they said, and for everything there is a time. Everything that will happen in this new world will happen on time. And they set the 12 signs in the skies, called the cosmic clock, or the Beringe, given 12 periods broken into 4 seasons, bringing in signs of the end of one age and the beginning of another. Thus, everything will happen in this new world will happen when Elion El wishes it to happen. Elion El sets the time for birth and the time for death, the time for planting and the time for pulling, the time for what's dead and a time for what is healed, a time for building and a time to tear down what was built, a time for joy and a time for sorrow, a time for mourning and a time for dancing and music, a time to make love and a time not to make love, a time to kiss and a time not to kiss, a time to find things and a time for loving, a time to save and a time to throw away, a time to speak and a time to remain silent. These are the laws on time. This is what they taught the Magi on time. You should adjust your conduct and event, direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons of time. You should make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch this flowing. It's flowing. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timeliness and knows that yesterday is but today's memories and tomorrow is today's dreams. And that which sings and contemplates in you is still dwelling within the bounds of the first moment which shattered the stars into space. Who among you does not feel that this is power? to love is boundless, and yet who does not find the very love through boundless and encompassed within the center of his being? And the morning, not from love, thought to love, nor roam love deeds to other love deeds. And it's not time, even as love is invaded and spaceless. But in your thoughts, you must measure time into seasons. Let each season encircle all the other seasons. And let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. The Anunnaki said amongst each other, let the waters breed abundantly all kinds of swimming creatures that are to live, and the birds are to fly above the planet Earth in the open skies. The Anunnaki recreated Tinem, the dragon, sea serpent as sea dinosaurs, and all living spirit amoebas, algae, and fungi to swim with the waters bred from itself, and all the winged birds, the Pterodactylus, from themselves. And the Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable. The Anunnaki put their blessings on them all by saying, procreate and multiply. And we fill the waters in the seas, and the birds are to multiply in the planet Earth. The dust periods and the new fifth day of another 7,000 years was over. The Anunnaki said amongst each other, let the planet Earth bring forth spirits from itself, non-speaking mammals and reptiles, also living on the planet Earth. And this happened. The Anunnaki made to evolve all the living animals that appeared on the planet Earth bred from themselves. Tablet 1156. And non-speaking mammals bred from themselves, and all the creeping things upon the planet Earth bred from themselves, and the Anunnaki saw these things this way was agreeable. Tablet 12, the new beings. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo, another being which was to be thought into being and recreated was the humans from you, the force of creative will. These humans were to thrive to become supreme beings again. Also, there was the Behaman, the animal man called you man. Human beings descended from supreme to being, to supreme beings to human beings, to human to man, to mammal, to animal, to beast. The kingdom of the skies was called Malakut, and the blue planet was called Adrut. And the great kingdom of Tamaray, or Egypt, was originally called Kemet, after the constellation Kema, or Pleiades, one of the original homes inhabited by the Anunnaki, who were called Naturu by the Egyptians when they could no longer live on Rits. The Anunnaki named it Nibiru, Nibiru-ki, the earth place of Nibiru, or Nippar in Akkadian. It was ruled by Enlil before the procreation of Cadman and Nicobar. On the other side was the evil ones in the land called Araska. They had a leader whose name as an Anunnaki is Gigon, legion of them, or Halal. He is the father of the disagreeable Anunnaki species. He is the head of the fallen Nephilians. Nephilians are Uwayans called Luciferians. Nephi is called Lucifer or Satan. There, there was Asper. He was the teacher of the 200 fallen angels when on Adrut. How to be human is what he taught them. And there was Gadriel, the killer. He taught that death was agreeable. To kill is to kill it is best. But this is what the elders thought of death. Aphinimu, a teacher of deeds, he taught how to trick human beings into sin and how to disobey Hua and his wisdom. And Chasdia, the teacher of sorcery, these were the beings from a planet on Procyon called Nirvana, who came to Adrut, the blue planet, in the form of giants called Anakims. And their ruler and deity was a Hindu. They lived as Emins and dwelt in Adrut. We, the Anunnaki, came to Eridu from Malekut in Mu, which are chariots of light by way of Nibiru, which has 18 shams or ships, having 50 passengers on each ship. The crystal city or mothership is made of amber and crystal, and 900 Anunnaki in all. The tablet 13, the fashion of the Adama or Cadman, which is 19 times 3, which is 57 ayats. Lo, those beings who are fashioned by the command of the Most High, Anu, seek knowledge, even unto the grave. If you but know what is good for you, I speak to you, you must take this knowledge with a full understanding. Listen to me on beings of the Adama, Anu, Alium, Alium El, most glorified and exalted, sent the Anunnaki from the four corners of the planet Earth to fetch soil for the flesh of your father, who is called Adam. For he was a earthling, and Zaka, one who remembers, for he is to remember. Yet his name is Cadman, to be fashioned at the four rivers. These wise Anunnaki scientists was Gabriel, El Suduk, Marduk Suduk, Raphael Suduk, Israel Kaduk, Anu, Alium El, most glorified and exalted. Then ordered the Alium to bathe the soul of Cadman. You would know the secrets of death, but how to find it unless you seek it in the hearts of life. The owls whose night-bound eyes are blind until the day cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you should indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and the Yam and the sea are one. In the depths of your hopes and your desires lie your silent knowledge of the beyond, and light dreaming beneath snow. Your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, from in them is the gate to eternity. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in humor. Is the shepherd not joyful beneath the trembling that he should wear the mark of the king? Yet is he not more mindful of the trembling for what is to die, but to stand naked in the wind and to melt in the sun? And what is to cause breathing, to cease breathing, but to free the breath from its restless ties, that it may rise and expand and seek anew, uncombated. Only when you drink from the water of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain's top, then you shall begin to climb. When Tamet, the planet Earth, shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance, which he created 1,000 years before his body, in the sea of glory, which proceeded from himself, called Qatar. He commanded it to illuminate his yet lifeless form. The soul hesitated, for it was unwilling to enter into the flesh. But Anu, Elion El, most glorified and exalted, commanded, you must animate Cadman, even against your will. As the punishment of your disobedience, you shall one day be separated from him also against your will. Thus, this is speaking of humans dying. And because his soul refused to come into the small shell to be imprisoned here, Anu, Elion El, most glorified and exalted, commanded him and said, now, the same soul will wish one day not to leave him. When the anarchy of death comes. The anarchy of death stood by, witnesses all these things with tears in his eyes. Elion El, most glorified and exalted, told Israel, son of Anu, and Id, also spelled Iyd, depart, for I have made you anarchy of death. I have placed the taking of the soul of Cadman and his seed, the Adamites, unto your power. At these words, Israel began to weep, saying, amongst you, children of Cadman, there will be news bearers who will undoubtedly have me on this account. Anu, who is the Most High, Elion El, rejoined, I shall send so many complaints and diseases upon the human beings that they should not hate you, and these they shall not be a cause of grief to you. This means that human beings will be preoccupied in the pleasures of this world, that they shall not even notice death. It is said that the anarchy of death has a seat in the skies. Anu, Elon El, glorified and exalted, created it from light. One of his 2 feet is on the bridge of hell, and the other is on the seat in the enclosed garden. It is said that his magnitudes that were the waters of the seas and the rivers poured from his head. Not a drop would fall on the planet, earth. It is said that if Anu, Alun, Alun El, most glorified and exalted, put all the world near the anarchy of death, it would be like a table placed before a human being so that he might eat when he likes off of it. So the Anunnaki, alone of death, turn the world of creatures about as human being turns a coin. As for the knowledge of the end of the terms, when the transcript of death and illness from the slave come to the alium of death, he says, my creator, when shall I take the rule, the soul of the slave? In what form shall I lift it? El, may he be exalted, says, O alium of death, this is the knowledge of the unseen. None have knowledge of it except me. But I shall inform you of the arrival of this time and make signs for you that you will overstand. The Anunnaki, who is in charge of the breath and the deeds, will come to you and say, the breath of so and so is finished. The one who is in charge of this provision and deeds will say, his provisions are finished and his deeds are well. If he is amongst the happy, his scroll carried by the Anunnaki, Ilium of death, will have on it his name with a line of gold light around it. If he is amongst the wretched, you will see around it a red line. The knowledge of that is not complete for the Anunnaki. Ilium of death, until a leaf falls on him from the tree which is beyond the throne. At the name of one about to die is written on the leaf. Then the Anunnaki of death takes his nafs, which means his spirit. Nafs is spirit. Murdoch will descend with a scroll to the Anunnaki, Alium of death, from Anu, Aliyun, Aliyun El, most glorified and exalted. And on it is written the name of the one whose nafs or spirit he has commanded to be taken, the place in which the nafs is to be taken, and the cause of it being taken. 2 drops will fall from under the throne of the name of his owner. One is pink and the other green. If the pink drop falls on the name, to be known that he is wretched and malevolent. If a green drop falls on the name, be known that he is happy and benevolent, and that it is what he taught of benevolence and malevolence. Of the benevolence is the agreeable good ones. In you I can speak, but not of the malevolence, disagreeable and evil ones. For what is evil but good, turned by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food, even in dark caves, and when it thirsts, it drinks even of dead waters. You are benevolent when you are in one with yourself. Yet when you are not one with yourself, you are not malevolent, for a divided house is not a den of thieves. It is only a divided house. A ship without rudders may wander aimlessly amongst the perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. You are benevolent when you strive to give to yourself, yet you are not malevolent when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive for gain, you are but a root that clings to the planet Earth and suck at her. The fruit cannot say to the root, be like me, ripe and full, ever giving of your absence. For to the fruit giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the roots. You are benevolent when you are fully awake in your speech. You are not malevolent when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose, and even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are malevolent when you go thither limping. Even those who limp go not backwards. But you who are strong and swift see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. You are benevolent in countless ways, and you are a malevolent when you are not benevolent. You're only loitering and sluggard. Pity to the stages cannot teach swiftness to the turtle. And your longing for your giant self lies your goodness, and the longing is in all of you. But in some of you, the longing is a torrent, rushing with might in the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides, and the songs of the forest. And in orders, it is a flat stream that looses itself in angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to him, long little, wherefore are you slow at halting for the truly ben, ben, benef, ben, benevolent? Ask not the naked, where is your garment? Table 14, in our image and after our likeness, 19 times 6 is 114 verses. Lo, and we have mercy upon your kind. And we, the Anunnaki, said amongst ourselves, now let's breed by cloning people that are Homo sapiens of this Adama planet Earth, the Adamites. Looking just like ourselves, the Anunnaki having 9 ether hair and coating their genes in melanin, that they may act like ourselves with right knowledge. We will give them rulership over the fish of the sea, all reptilians and birds of the skies, and gorgots, gargoyles, and over the non-speaking animals, the beasts of the field, and all the creeping things that creep upon the planet Earth, and Alium Anunnaki made to evolve all the domestic living animals that appear on the planet Earth to breed from themselves, and all the creeping things upon the planet Earth breed from themselves. And the Anunnaki saw the things thus way were agreeable. The Anunnaki, Alium, Kalka-El, also known as Rudwin, and Uriel, son of Azariel, and Raphael, then says, here, you have been given every herb with a yielding seed, which is on the surface of the whole planet Earth, and every tree which yields fruit and has its own seed to reproduce. All of this is your food. The Anunnaki, Nundamud, who is also called Inki, one appointed by El Elo for the breeding from the Anunnaki Nenti, daughter of Anu, procreated people, which is Homo sapiens first called Nubans, then became Nubians of the Adamites from the Homo erectus, which had 6 ether hair, and the original Anunnaki was 9 ether hair, to look like herself using her own divine seed, Ninti giving Nubians 9 ether and acting like herself. The Anunnaki procreated them into one they call Adam or Cadman, who had 8 ether, and Nikobar or Hawa, who had 9 ether. This is how she, Ninti, procreated them of her own seed. And the Anunnaki blessed them. And the Anunnaki said unto them, so that they would not have to be removed to Raphael or Monodapa, now called Zimbabwe, to work as slaves in the gold mines until they die. Breed children and multiply, and refill the planet Earth, and keep it under control, and rule over the fish of the seas and the birds of the skies, and over all that live and swim on the planet Earth, every living animal from the planet Earth, and every bird of the skies, and to everything that swims on the planet Earth, which there is a living soul. Every green vegetable is for food. This supreme being is being appointed vegetarian. He is not to eat of the blood of its creatures, but to maintain its olive view with the chlorophyll of the herbs that are most abundant on the earth and beneath the earth. Being born copper, bred to purify into olive green as you green ones. And this happened. The Anunnaki saw all the things that was fashioned, and here it was all very agreeable for them. It was dusk period, and the new 6th day of the 7,000 years was over. So the skies and the planet Earth was prepared, and all the living beings of both of them. So you got the evolution of mankind. You got the genus Homo. You got the Homo erectus. You got your Homo sapien. The 7th day, the Anunnaki Inki, who's also called Nundimud, fashioned his duty which he had done, and he desisted. He kept the Shabbat, and he desisted in the 7th day from all his duties which he had done. The Anunnaki Inki blessed the 7th day, and he declared it Kadosh. The word Kadosh means holy. because in it he desisted from all his duties which the Elohim had done. These Anunnakis are the genealogy of the skies from the planet Rich in the galaxy Ilium, a planet of another galaxy, and the planet Earth, also called Ki. When they are reconstructing and procreating in the day that the Anunnaki made the planet Earth and made its skies reappear. The planet Earth, shrub in the part of its outer field outside the enclosed garden before they had actually grown, and every herb before it had sprouted seeds, because Yahuwah, who is the head of Uwayans of the Aliyum, the Anunnaki, had not made it rain upon the earth. And Adamite Homo sapien was not there yet to be abd or slaves and work as miners of the ground. So a mist of water clouds ascended up from the planet Earth in order to irrigate as rain the whole surface of the ground where the seeds had been planted. And Yehovah of the Elium shaped Adam from Ninti's clot of granulated blood from the people of the ground. They gave Cadman the breath of divine life, and Adam was born a spirit. And Yahuwah of the Elium ordered Azrazel to build the foundation of the garden, and Hashem, the Chiach, who came from the school of the Pequot under Murdoch, for the planning of a special enclosed garden of delight and pleasure. Over there he placed Adam, who was cloned. From the same ground did the Yahuwah of the Elium grow every tree and flower that was beautiful to the sight, and the vegetation that was Toby, which means good for food. A special tree of hallucinating herbs was in the center of the enclosed garden, under which is agreeable in the sight of Yahuwah, that which is disagreeable in the sight of Yahuwah, giving one his own willpower. And the Anunnaki said amongst themselves, indeed, we have made them in a constellation, and we have beautified them for the eye of the beholders. We have guarded it from all of the accursed reptilian serpents, the Luciferians and the Nocturs, the people who are from the deep, those jinns who disobey the laws of El Elo for human beings. He was of the Kafarun, yet he has stolen from it, and we curse Zuin as a visible flame, and throw upon firm mountains. We cause to grow in it every well measured, and we have made for you therein means of sustenance, and for every other creatures whom you are not the sustainers. There's nothing except what is with us, Anunnaki, which are its treasures. And we are not sent the wind fertilizers. And we sent down water from the sky. So we gave it unto you to drink of it. And it is not you that it stores. Verily, only we and none else can cause life and cause death. We are the only hers, and indeed we know those eager to be foremost amongst you. We know those who like to lag behind. Verily, El Elo, your Rab, who is the sustainer, he will gather them together. Verily, he is El Hakum, or the wise one, El Elum, or the one who knows. And indeed, we Anunnaki created sites of black mud, fashion and shape. The jinns were created long before Adam, of the fire of Samun or Sumun, from which the name Samael or Shakha comes from. To the others, Anunnaki rulers, verily I am going to create human tissues, one of the essence of black mud, fashioned into shape of every dust of the Adama or the ground. They, the Noctis, waited, wanted the remains of the black mud, which is kept safe in a small 4x4 black box, which is now the Kaaba of Arabia. It is the Anunnaki who has assigned you a period of time to live on earth, created all of you from clay, then only by you still harbor suspicions, and its termination is known. So when I have completed him and breathed in him of my own soul, then you are to fall down and prostrate before him. O Enosites, worship your sustainer who created you and those things before you. Happily, you may guard yourself against disagreeableness, who made the earth a resting place for you, thereby produce fruits from your sustainer. The sky was a firm structure, and the Aliyum caused the water to descend from heaven. Set you not, therefore, equal for him while you already know, who created you looking like herself, Ninti, and acting like herself. Ninti, a female Anunnaki, and controller of the Shemti laboratory. Put on your shield of protection against the deceivers. Many have gone into the world, and yet still many are not yet born. Ninti is the mother of your procreation. Before Zeus, women were recognized as female deities. You have males born of females, yet we will restrict them. All the great prophets came through the canal of a female. Only in the reptile family do you find males transforming into female and female transforming into male by nature's call. Associate not with the man that respects not the woman, for even that man was conceived by the woman. The mother simply means the meter or the matter. She reflects the light of a properly lit sun in wisdom. She has 4 periods and the 4 phases of the moon. The moon that you see has no light of its own, but it has mass and it does exist in the pure state, darkness before chaos. Thus, her weakness comes from the man. Darkness is pure, and the moon sits in darkness as an assistance to the earth, controlling her tides. And the moon, rightly called Luna, has an effect on the mental state of those who lean toward her, the lunatic. Let not the sensitivity of the apparent weakness of the woman alter your state of consciousness. Stay in control. If the moon ceases to pull the tides of the planet, it would overheat as the evening comes and be no more. If the man ceased to respond to the whims of a woman or over respond to the emotional changes of a woman, he too will overheat, transform into a lunatic, and be no more. Gia is her name. She has been worshipped, be they agreeable or disagreeable. Bumbulama, Buta, Ajasit, Aditi, Hatua, Kachikoliku, Ata, Mat, Nakia, Siptu, Amaterasu, Asit, Atsis, Amphitat, 8, Anatilis, Adarat, Adaria, Aranrod, Arima, Kali, Artemis, Artio, Assasi, Yadu, Duna, Yemaya, Uzat, Artemis, Atio, Asaya, Yasara, Asaya, Babd, Hatha, Athena, Atugan, Adujo, mother deities, in many tongues and places. El Shabbat. And this is how the event should be commemorated. The Sabbath begins 19 minutes before the sun appears to set. Evening worship, shadow hours on Friday, and ends 19 minutes after the sun appears to have set. Shadow hours on Saturday. The Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. Now we call him the Day of the Strong, and was sanctified by Anunnaki Elion. The Sabbath is symbolic of the day that Elion descended into the cloning process of Homo erectus to Homo sapien, which was a process which took 600 years in a place called Kadesh. Kadesh was known as Jerusalem today, or in Ashuric or Syriac, Arabic, Qudus, meaning holy. The cloning was done by the Anunnaki, Aliyum, Inki, and Ninti, who were the scientists, and Negal and Aristogal, who were the chemists. The process of cloning came about through the feat of genetic engineering and embryo implant techniques. You were on a long process of elevation. However, the Anunnaki jumped in and sped up your evolutionary process, creating you sooner than you would have evolved on your own. The Anunnaki did not intervene on all of the Homo erectus evolution, just in a selected group. And on the seventh day, the Elium Inki, who's also known as Nundamud or Israel of the Anunnaki, finished his duty which he had done and desisted and kept the Sabbath and the seventh day from all his duties which he had done. And the Adiyum Inki blessed the seventh day. And declared it Kaddish or holy, because it be desisted from all his duties which he had from Eliyahu had done. So the preparation of El Kaddish or the Sabbath, which is the holy Sabbath, the mother ignites a set of 3 white candles 19 minutes before the shadow hour on Friday, and are left to burn. These candles are left to burn continuously. The candles rest in a candle holder on a small table which has been covered with a white tablecloth and is on the Sabbath, only used on the Sabbath. The white is symbolic for all purity of the heavens and earth. Each candle should be white and unscented, signify purity. Positioned in the shape of a triangle facing east and placed in the center of the table on the Sabbath cloth. Originally, a 7-candle menorah was used for the 6 days of procreation and the day of desisting. As each candle is lit, your thoughts should be reflecting on the meaning of each candle. The 3 white candles are lit by a smaller candle. The first candle represents procreation, which is the spiritual life. Therefore, when lighting the first candle, your thoughts should be on the remembrance of Elion, Elion El, the Most High, Anu, the Heavenly One. The second candle represents the world you live in today. Thus, when this candle is lit, your thoughts should reflect on this. The third candle is symbolic of the state that is yet to come, life in the next world. The 7th candlestick menorah represents the 6 days of procreation, which began with "Let there be light," and does the celebration of procreation with the igniting of lights. The 7 minarets in the Masjid Haram in Mecca represent the 7 candlestick menorah. And Revelation chapter 1, John sees 7 candlesticks of gold separated on one stand. The fact that there were 7 candlesticks means completeness. In the Aramaic Hebrew law, the 7 candlesticks are called the menorah. In the Ashuric Arabic language, this word menorah, which means lighthouse, pillar, or place where fire is lit, and comes from the root word nawara, meaning to light or illuminate, fill with light. The word menorah is also used for minaret, structures of a masjid from which the nadia or caller sounds the call to worship in Islam. The middle candle of the menorah is used to light all the other candles and is also symbolic of the times you are living in. Since the 90s, the third candle has been lit, leaving 2 years left before the beginning of the sun cycle. Rituals. Though on the Sabbath, there are many rituals that are practiced: lighting the candles, scriptorial readings, the Sabbath meal, the blessings which are received in celebrating a special day. The mothers of the Holy Tabernacle Ministries should practice them to reinstill discipline. Most of the prayers that will be recited will be from the Book of Light. Many people think that Friday is the Sabbath. However, it is not. Friday is the day of preparation for the Sabbath. And we will continue this with the Sabbath in our next reading. And I hope each of y'all is feeling good, being blessed, and taking care of your business. So you need to go ahead, read this, read it, do the research, get your book out, read it again, get your tablet out, read it again, and let's get to popping. And let's continue what we need to be doing.